Hi everyone. My name is Rita, and welcome to my new book club. I decided to create this little personal project and please let me know if I'm the only one that felt like this, but I realized that with the pandemic, I was able to read more books. I started working from home due to lockdowns in my country, and finally, I had the time to just relax and read a book. I didn't have much time before due to all the time I spent going to and from work. And when I got home, I had so much stuff to do that the only time I was able to read a little bit was during the day on my lunch breaks at work. With all this new free time, I turned once again to books. I always use them to get away from reality and enter new and exciting worlds. I I bought a lot of books during the first lockdown and all the lockdowns after it, and I turned myself to my friends and asked them for recs. So I thought to myself a few weeks ago that maybe it would be cool if I also share it with you, some of you, the books that I've read and loved and that I think are nice books to read. So this first video, and I think you probably realized that from the title of the book of the video, that I'm about to talk about Monsters of Verity, uh, a collection from Victoria Schwab. There are two books in this collection: This Savage Song, Our Dark Duet. Uh, a big shout out to my friend Lupe that actually suggested this to me and was my confidant after I finished each one, because there were a lot of times that I just needed to let some things out. So going into the characters, there are two main characters, Kate Archer and August Flynn. They are the heirs of the divided city of Verity, where monsters are born from acts of violence, and the whole city is completely on lockdown. Nobody gets in, nobody gets out. A bit like we all are in the world right now. So, just to give you a side note, and I think it will help you understand the books a little more, there are three kinds of monsters. First, you have the Kursai that are born from non lethal acts of violence and are more like a shadow, and they move in swarms and feed on flesh and bone. You are safe if you are in the light, like I am right now. And uh, two, there are Malachi that are born from of murders and look like skeletal figures with red eyes, and they feed on blood. They are weakened by the sunlight but are still capable of moving in it. And finally, we have the Sunai that are born from mass devastation and look like humans as long as they are fed on the souls of sinners. This means that this monster only feeds on, on, on people that are sinners. They bring the souls out to the surface using either music or pain. So Kate wants to be a bit like her father, ruthless, that lets the monsters roam free in the city and makes the humans pay for his protection. They live a little like they are in their own little world, like a fantasy, where they ignore the existence of monsters. August is completely the opposite. He wants to be human. He's good-hearted like his father, and he wants to protect the innocent. But there is only one problem with August, and it's that he's actually one of the monsters. He's a Sunai, and he can steal a soul with just a simple strain of music from his violin. They actually meet when August is asked to keep an eye on Kate at school, and they create a fragile friendship that is put to the test when Kate realizes that August is actually a monster, and when she tries to hunt him down. Um, After a failed assassination attempt, they really form a bond and run together to survive. Um, they during this escape, they actually get to know each other, and they understand each other, and they form a bond. I was really impressed with the first book, just as a note, that the author didn't go for the enemies to friends to lovers trope. It really went from enemies to friends. It was a bit of a fresh breath of fresh air, you know. It was really lovely to see them on this journey to getting to know each other, to understanding their past and all the things that united them, and the way that they saved each other multiple times during it. It was really, really interesting. Um, on the other hand, on the second book, they, of course, they keep this bond, um, but Kate comes back to Verity. She, not to spoil you a lot, but she left Verity at the end of book one, but she comes back on the second book because there is a new threat, and a new monster that is appearing, one that is more dangerous than any monster that appeared before, because it feeds on chaos and brings out its victims' inner demons. So Kate, in this book, Kate is shown even more as an independent woman. She understands the monsters. She doesn't need anyone. She isn't afraid of anything. And on the other hand, you see that August is still trying to be human, but he also has a new play, uh, as a new part to play in the books, because he is relocated to the front lines of the battle against the monsters. Uh, Once again, I really found that their dynamic together is really cool. I didn't like that the author on the second book went with romance aspect, because personally it didn't make any sense to me. They were already friends, a bit like soulmates, and there was really no need for a romantic aspect, because it felt a bit like out of nowhere. There was no lead up. You know that they worry about each other a lot. They are friends, but I didn't see it as like one of the main things that would be on their mind to be romantically involved. Um, yeah, I think that their own inner struggles and how they talk with each other about it was enough. Personally, for me, it was enough. In the end, I was a little sad that Kate's life before coming back to Verity was completely erased. I really liked that during her time away from Verity, she got a new group of friends. There were people that she was trying to beginning to trust, and I think that the people were just left behind, and I think it wasn't fair. I was liking their dynamic a little, so I think it would be cool if they had come back, or at least we would know their reaction to what happens in the end. Um, for me, on the other hand, August was one of my favorite characters. It was so interesting. There was a lot of duality in him, you know. He wanted to be a human, but he knew that he was a monster and he couldn't change that, and he had to deal with that side of him. And I think it was so cool to see how it was really two faces of a coin, you know. It was human, but it was also a monster. So I think that duality was really well played during the books. I wanted to also give a big shout out to two of my other favorite characters. Um, they are actually August's siblings, Ilsa and Soro. I love their characters a lot, and I wanted to know a little more about their backstory. Ilsa was so interesting, and I think her past would be super cool to know how she got there to the point that she was in the books. And with Sorrow, it's more like I think he was such an interesting character. He was described as androgynous and preferring gender neutral pronouns, and I think it was one of the first books where I read a character like this, and it wasn't a big deal, you know. Uh, August, his family, their family, it really wasn't a big deal. It was such a normal thing for them that sort of preferred uh, they them pronouns, and it's really cool to have a character like this. And I think it's so important for people to normalize the subject. You know, it isn't a big deal. It's just someone that doesn't want to use he or she pronouns. He wants to be they. So um, I think it was really cool, and more people should do it. I think. Um, in the end, I think that the book needed a little more, in the sense that maybe another chapter would have wrap, wrapped things up more tightly for me. There was a lot of things that were kept in the air, and I don't know if this is the author opening up the space for another book. I don't know, but there were little things that I wanted to be clean, and I think another chapter would have helped with that. Um, all in all, I think it was a very nice read. The flow of the book is it's really good. Uh, it took me a while in the beginning to get into the story, to understand all the monsters and their dynamics, even with Kate's father, with August's father, to their story. And that slowed me down a little in the beginning, but after that, it really was really smooth, and I really liked it. I think if I had to give it like a score from 1 to 10, I would probably go with a solid 7, um, considering all the things I've said before. But I really want to know your opinion. Have you read the books? What are your thoughts? Are you considering reading the books after this video, or are you curious? So please let me know. You can leave comments if you want. I also created an Instagram page dedicated to this channel called Rita's Book Club. Um, in it, I will try to share a little more of my favorite moments from the books, maybe some quotes, maybe some fan art, and I will try to give a glimpse into which book I will review next week. I'm going to try to make this like a weekly thing. Let's see if I can keep it up. So please follow if you liked it. Please follow, subscribe, all that jazz that people do on YouTube. So, and thank you so much. Thank you for watching this video, and for spending a few minutes with me. I hope you enjoyed it, and just want to say thank you again, and bye.